And here we have the simple structure of an argument. There is an assertion, which you start with, followed by reasoning that supports your assertion, followed by evidence that supports your reasoning. Okay? So what these things are first, and then why these things are important and how they function as they function. An assertion, what is an assertion? It's a statement. It's saying why something is or isn't, or why something is true, without explaining. So, I am a man, right? He is selfish. Saving money is good. Women should be protected. All those things are assertions. What an assertion is, it's a starting point for an argument. It makes a claim, right? And that claim needs to be proven. But that claim in itself says something. So in the minds of people, that creates a little bit of expectation. It tells people what you are going to do. Okay? Now, assertion here is sometimes referred to as a label or a name or a claim. It should be something that is short, that's easy to remember, that's easy to repeat. It shouldn't be something that's too long. But it still should be specific. So saying harm, that's not an assertion. Saying this causes harm, that is an assertion. Alright? Or that is a claim, and that's a good label. The function of an assertion is for people to know what you're going to talk about, but also to help people remember what you're going to talk about. Because if you're persuading in a team, then other people may have to repeat your assertion. It becomes a way to identify your entire argument. Because if I want to defend my teammate or to repeat what someone said, I can't possibly repeat everything he said all the time, right? Because then I won't have any time to talk about what I want to talk about. But I can refer to his assertion or the name of his argument, and that will tell the judges or tell the other team what he was talking about. Okay? So that's what the assertion is, and that's also why it's important. But the assertion doesn't prove something. If you say something's right, and you stop there, then someone else can just say, well, no, it's not, something's wrong. Right? No, it's right, yes, it's wrong. No, it's right, yes, it's wrong. No, it's right, no, it's wrong. So it's just assertion versus assertion. There's no reasoning. Reasoning is logic. Reasoning explains logically why something is true. And this is really powerful because most people, supposedly all people, are logical, and logic appeals to you. Human beings want reasons. We want to know why. Why should I do this? Why should I buy your product? Why am I here? Why are you wasting my time? Why are you telling me that this does not work? Right? People want to answer the question, why? And this is the answer to the question, why? Why this assertion is true. Right? So after you make that assertion, provide reasoning to show that that assertion is true. Right? Explain logically why it's true. And lastly, you provide evidence. Evidence is some kind of example, a fact, a statistic, an observation, something that is true. Right? And examples and evidence here is important because people like to see or like to know something is true. This is what makes people believe in something. You see, logic's powerful. It helps you understand things. But logic's intangible. I cannot see or touch or feel logic. While I can understand it, it's difficult to believe something that I cannot see. You know? But if I can see it, if it's there in front of me, if there's a product, or I know that it's true, there's a statistic, you've told me someone, or you've given me an example of something that, hey, I know is true, I've seen that happen, this reinforces that logic. This makes your logic real. And that makes your argument real. Okay? So when these forces combine, you create an argument. An effective and powerful argument. Right? So start with an assertion. Assert that something is true. And then follow that assertion up with logical reasoning and prove your reasoning is right by showing some evidence, showing a fact, an example, something from the world or society that other people can ascertain is true. Okay, so here are a couple of examples on the slides. If I assert Firstly, that the death penalty is inhuman or inhumane, right? It's cruel. Okay, so you see, I made a mistake there by varying my assertion. Your assertion should be concise and it should be consistent, because otherwise people will get confused. So my assertion is the death penalty is inhumane. The reasoning is that killing someone for their crime assumes that that person cannot change anymore, which treats that life with disrespect, right? Which is almost akin to treating that person as an animal. Okay, so that's what makes it inhumane. The evidence is we kill animals who misbehave because we think animals cannot change. Dogs that attack other people or wild animals, because we cannot reason with them. We don't think they have the capacity to reform, so we kill them, right? But people are not animals. So that is the argument that I made. The assertion is that the death penalty is inhumane. The reasoning is you treat people, when you kill them, you assume that they cannot reason and treat them like animals. Evidence is that's what we do to animals, right? I had a short conclusion in the end where I repeated my assertion. That's an effective way to argue too, to remind people what you are arguing. Okay? There's another example there, and I think you need to make more examples. Similarly with the premise, hypothesis, and conclusion, you can move some of these things around, well, not reverse them, but try to find different fillers. So for one assertion, can I have different reasoning? Or, what is more common and easier to do, for one piece of evidence, try to create many different arguments. Try to interpret those arguments differently. Right? We're not going to do all of those things now, because right now we're going to move on and summarize, after summarizing this section, talk about what makes good arguments. But to summarize this section, why is this structure important? Why should we use this plan? Why don't I just make an argument? Why do you have to say this first and then this? Why don't I start with this and then move on to this and then this one or then this one? Doesn't that make debating boring and rigid? To some extent, if you do this all the time and if you speak like a robot, okay? But following the structure is important, firstly, because it makes your argument easy to follow. A debate can be confusing. In the Asian parliamentary debate, or in world schools, or in the Australs format, there are 3 people on each team, and they each speak, for 7 or 8 minutes, and they all make 3 or 4 arguments, and there are many different arguments. How do you maintain your audience's attention? How do you persuade them if they're confused about what arguments you are making, right? Starting an argument always with an assertion gives the people who are listening to you, your opponents or your judges, a clear and simple and easy way to track what you are saying, right? So it makes you effective. Now, if your people are confused, you cannot persuade them, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is, in itself, it's effective. It's comprehensive, right? It covers all the things that persuade people. A strong assertion that allows people to know what you are trying to persuade them about. It's logical reasoning that helps people understand, and then evidence that proves it to them. Okay? The reason why you put evidence at the end is because evidence can be interpreted in many different ways. If I start with a fact, that fact does not always lead to this conclusion. This fact can lead to many different conclusions, right? The fact that we kill animals who misbehave is not, how does that connect to the death penalty? Maybe it connects to the death penalty, maybe it connects to something else. Maybe it's a question of efficiency. Maybe it's different, right? But starting from here makes it really clear where I'm trying to go. Okay? Which is why we follow these steps in this order, right? So that's why the structure is important. So as a debater, as a persuasive speaker, you follow this structure, you try to make it more interesting using your style and other things, but essentially, you try to ensure that you persuade people in a way which makes it easy for them to understand and is effective, right?